we are live, George.
Cool. Evening, everybody. Hope we're okay on this Monday evening. It's good to be back. So welcome to the Arsenal Women Chat Show. Obviously going live across the Arsenal Women Chat Show, the Mr. Arsenal podcast, and Hyper Fans Forever. Obviously, please give subscribe to all the channels. They do loads of great content. And if you want to see more of my brother Austin, then do that as well. That's normally a funny thing to see. Cool. And today we're doing something a little bit different because for the ones who have been with us from day one, not like Mr. Chris Wells, like who thinks we don't have someone on for a while and they're a new person. So we've done a Gooner stories before, and basically what that consists of is a bit like This Is Your Life, but as an Arsenal fan. But I'm not wearing a suit and a bow tie and being Michael Aspel. So today we've got a really special guest, Sophie from Gooner Gossip TV. So welcome to the show, Sophie. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me, and yeah, I'm really excited to come on your channel today. But yeah, I'm all good, thank you. Hope you're good as well.
Yeah, not too bad. Good to be back. I'm glad you're on. To be honest, it's been in the pipeline for quite a bit,
Yeah.
so it's been good. And obviously you can see, not like me, but like we've got Laura as well, so she's gonna be the sensible part of the duo today. She's changing it up a bit, aren't you, Laura?
As always, I'm the sensible one out of both of us.
Out of us two, yeah, you probably are, to be honest.
I've got to be the one that looks after us all, and
yeah, exactly. So obviously this predominantly is a women's show, but little birds told me that there's an FA Cup draw for the men going live during this show, which they like to do. They like to do FA Cup draws when we're doing our shows. So we'll probably talk a little bit about that. So have we got any comments before we start, Laura?
Ryan's giving me into trouble saying I'm 2 minutes late. Unfortunately, that wasn't my fault. Obviously, Gav, the Chelsea fan, who claims he's a Chelsea fan, but unfortunately we know that's untrue because we've seen him in an Arsenal top. He says, "Bonjour, George, Laura, and the new lady. Her name's Soph, Gav."
And Gav.
Yeah, and of course, Soph comes from our own channel, which George has already said at the start, and of course we will plaster throughout this evening's show. Glee's obviously in as well. She said evening legends, and Gav says, and hopefully we get Port Vale, George. I don't know if he's talking about Arsenal there, if he's talking about
he's talking about Chelsea, isn't he? Because they just about beat Wrexham. So it's nice to see you back, Gav. I missed you when we done our celebration show when we battered you at the bridge. So I don't know where you was, but there's always another time when we knock you out the Champions League, mate. So it's fine. We're waiting. I hand out receipts. I don't forget. Ryan, 2 minutes late. On this show we call it blind time, mate. I can't say the time, so we start when I say we start. So cool. Good to have people in already. Like I said, please hit the subscribe buttons. We will be talking about Sophie's channel later, because she's been doing some really, really good stuff. So she does basically a lot of stuff, just Arsenal. So because why else would you want to do another team? Like,
smashing it as usual.
Exactly.
No, it's a great place to be, supporting a team that no one absolutely likes. So I love it. Starting off, obviously, Sophie. Obviously, we know you're an Arsenal supporter. How did that come about? Is it to do with your family, or was it because of specific players as you were growing up?
Yeah, I mean, mine's just quite random, to be honest with you. It's pretty much like the players that I've watched growing up that I just really loved. I mean, for me, I love watching like Sanchez, Ozil. They were sort of the main players that I love watching. I did love Arsene Wenger as well when he was here, but I'd probably say it was like a lot of the players that we had around that time. I mean, I started supporting Arsenal about 2015. So we had some really great attacking players at that time, and the football we played then was, yeah, really amazing. And obviously with the women's team, that was like a little bit later on, and obviously back then there wasn't like the coverage of the game that it is now. But I started sort of watching Arsenal around like 2015-16 season. So yeah, I would pretty much say it was just the players that we had then. I loved watching them, and then I've been an Arsenal fan ever since.
Oh, nice. Laura, do you have a question?
Yeah, do you obviously, this could be obviously Arsenal women or Arsenal men, do you obviously remember your very first ever Arsenal game that you went to?
I went to, I think, yeah, I did go to one of the men's game. It was quite a while ago. I think it was around 2020. It was literally just before lockdown. So I was happy I was able to go to a game, and it was actually like when Arteta. I think it was when Arteta came here like not long ago. Like he'd been here for a few months, and it was a game where we beat Newcastle 4-0, and that was when we got to see Saka sort of grow, and that was like when Saka sort of was getting into this team back then. And it was just, I think to anyone that hasn't been to the Emirates, it's just nice to experience it. Because obviously I don't really go to games a lot because I live a few hours away from London, but I think when you go to the Emirates, that feeling is so special to experience that. And yeah, it just felt, I remember like walking to a seat, and it just felt like such a surreal experience. And yeah, obviously I've been to a few games since. I've been to, North London Derby, but I do think going to your first game is just always so special.
Yeah, and your first
Yeah.
women's game as well, sorry, Soph.
I've
Do you
not actually
remember that one?
been to any just yet, but there have been like games that I think that have really stood with me. I mean, we've had some amazing like memories like over these past few years. Like I said, with the women's team, I'd probably say I started watching it in like 2018, so has been a little while, and obviously we haven't really won the league for a little while.
Yeah.
But I think winning the Champions League is just so special. Obviously, to those that went to it, that must have felt amazing. But I think it was also special when we did win the cup under Jonas, because we went 4 years without winning the trophy.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, I know that's not like the biggest trophy we can win, but I do think that was really big mentally for us. And those are probably the two ones that definitely stood out to me over the years.
So hopefully we'll see you soon at a women's game then.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
this season for sure.
There's some breaking news. Manchester City have got Liverpool in the FA Cup.
it's amazing.
You've got
What a
Southampton
shame!
as well.
Shame! Just like shame. Arsenal got Southampton. Chelsea have got Port Vale, and I think the other game would probably be West Ham or Brentford versus Leeds, if I'm right. But don't quote me on that. But I'll take that.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I love it. City and Liverpool. I like that. Cool. And just also someone in the chat said big up the show. I appreciate that, mate. Thank you. Yeah, also like obviously it's like you were saying, Sophie, I remember that Newcastle game because I entered the pub at 9 a.m. with Liam and Jonesy and left at 3 a.m. the next day. So I remember that.
It's not like you, George.
No, I'm too old for that now. I can't do that.
You're getting married soon. You're under the thumb.
Yeah, getting married soon. You're going to your mid-30s. You're like, no.
Yeah, you can't do it anymore.
I've got Mel going to the North London Derby with me. She's no longer be struggling now. So, kind of like just going back on what you said, Sophie. Obviously, you've watched the games from afar. So, with the women's game, there's been such a drastic change, hasn't there? Like it's definitely before like the Euros and when the Lionesses won it the first time. Because we're talking about European Championships that our players have won. So like Champions League. Sorry, Gav. Sorry. I keep forgetting your team have not won the Champions League if they Gav. Yeah. Where do you think that's all started from? Do you think that's because of the Lionesses, or do you think Arsenal also have a big part to play in that, or do you think it's hand in hand?
It's tough, isn't it? I mean, I do think the first time England did win the Euros, that was quite big, wasn't it? We did see a big change in women's football, because I think a lot of people might have followed players like Ella Toone or Chloe Kelly and to support them and see whatever club they're at. And there has been a big change in that. I think the first Euros had a big impact, and obviously the World Cup, I think, also did as well, because I know we didn't win that, but getting to the final and winning the Euros again, I do think it has had a big impact. I think if obviously we hadn't have won it, don't know if the game would have grown as much as it is now, because I know a few years ago when the women's team did start to play at the Emirates, we didn't really get the crowd that we're getting now. Because I remember I saw online something that we played Wolfsburg and there was a few thousand, and now we're selling out crowds. We're getting 20 to 40,000 people there, and I do think that's helped us winning the Euros. I think that's definitely helped over the years. I do think that, because you do see a lot of players from the Arsenal team that do play for England, so I think that's definitely good. So I think it's definitely helped and then maybe change people's perception of women's football, because people might have a certain perception of it, and then they've watched the Euros and they've actually thought these players are really good, and then they've watched certain players for the team. So yeah, I think that's probably why it's really helped. And the support we see now is so great, especially at the Emirates. Away from home, I think the fans are amazing, and I think the WSL is starting to get a lot more kind of credit now. I think the WSL being on like Sky Sports and BBC has definitely helped as well, because if it's sort of easy to watch, you are going to go out there and watch it. So I think it's just great to see how the game has become so big now, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I wish they'd sort their kickoff times out though.
I know
Sky,
12
that's it.
12 o'clock's annoying, isn't it? It's too
That's just
early.
it.
See,
Yeah,
I can't
just a-
complain, because travelling from Scotland, it's good for me, because then I have the Saturday to enjoy the game.
I
and
might
then
as well
I'll go-
travel from Scotland sometimes when
What?
I'm going from Peterborough over like the trains. Like I have to do like 3 counties just to get to London sometimes.
Yeah, George, they call Peterborough Little Scotland, so
Yeah.
you could maybe get away with that one.
Yeah, exactly. Just a question kind of for both of you actually. So obviously what we're saying about how it's accelerated the interest in women's football. Why do you think it has done it this time? Because if you look at it actually before, when Arsenal won like near enough everything, like when we had players like Alex Scott, Faye White, Jane Ludlow, and Julie Fleeting. Say I didn't forget, and Mel would kill me if I forgot that. If I forgot her. Why do you think there wasn't this sort of an increase in the interest and awareness as much as there is now? I've always wondered that.
It's a tough one. I think it's a good question actually, and it's a fair point as well, isn't it? Because it's so difficult, because you look at our the past and the players that we've had, like Kelly Smith as well. Just so many players that we've had. I don't know if it's because there's sort of like more coverage now of the games. I mean, when I used to watch Arsenal, when I started supporting them in the women's team, I sort of didn't know where you could watch the game. So I do feel like that's definitely helped. I think being able to access the games. I think the game has definitely grown a lot now, but it's a good point, because we had some just incredible legends that used to play for us, and they did deserve so much credit, and they probably don't get that credit they deserve. And I think it's nice to see players sort of like Kim Little that's been here for such a long time, getting that credit. And yeah, it's a shame that other players like an Alex Scott, maybe I know Alex Scott does get credit, sort of for a punditry work, but those sort of players don't always get that credit for sort of how they were at Arsenal, and it's a tough one, really, isn't it?
I just don't. For me, it may be Laura. I'll come to you as well. Like you hear about the players, about the Lioness teams that have won stuff like now, but I wonder, is it because we're actually at this moment involved with it? But when you listen back to where people talk about ex players that have played years and years ago that have won stuff, and like for say Arsenal, they seem like they get the club legend tag, but they don't. I don't know. It just seems a bit different Like, and I'm not being disrespectful because I think they deserve the exact same respect of what they get now. But it just seems like the interest wasn't there after that. So I wonder what has switched that. Is it purely down to TV? I don't really know.
I think for me, obviously, growing up for me, football was basically everything to me, especially obviously being a Celtic supporter, and obviously my dad being a coach himself. So I was always in and around football, whether that was with family or friends, and even for me growing up where I lived at that time, it was a lot of boys. So I was obviously introduced to football through my family, friends, and basically for me, I never really had a choice, as I say. But that's not a choice that I don't regret. Like today, so I think football's never really been exposed to young girls back then, especially not in the 90s, growing up into the early 2000s. And I think where it helps, where obviously a lot of Wibbenmoy and a lot of the lionesses have put in to obviously the government, that obviously the girls get a lot more football time in PE. Is whether when I did PE at school, it was like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go out and play football with the boys, or do you want to stay in the gym hall and basically play netball? Which should never have been a thing when we were younger. It should have been an exposure right across. Well, this is what we're going to do in PE today. We're going to play football, and if you don't like it, tough. If you if you don't want to do that, tough. Like essentially, I'm not saying it should have been put down people's throats, but in a sense it should have been put down people's throats, because then we wouldn't have so many men now still saying, oh, we don't really care about women's football, but we do, because you're on commenting about
Yeah.
it. You're on social media talking about it, so you care about it. And unfortunately,
60,000 people. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
And unfortunately, if you have a
and
little girl, that's going to
yeah.
be exposed to her now, but it wasn't exposed to me when I was younger.
And he
And
isn't.
I think that's a change.
Like, there's people around the women's game. I wouldn't say he's my favourite person, and I've said that a lot publicly, but I think when you look at interviews, people like what Basil at Chelsea does, I think you have to kind of take your Arsenal hat away from that and think, I don't know what, fair play, because the way he talks about the game, I kind of little bit respect that, because like it's not easy. Like, you're looking at, he's coming out, he's a bloke, he's probably, he will get crap from other men, because there's just idiots out there. That's just not. There's no point saying that isn't a thing. But the way I think it's been promoted, and I just wondered where that flick of the switch was. Like, you got to think, Arsenal went invincible basically, didn't they? As with the women team. So you think, could you imagine if they'd done that now?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have a show, would we, to be honest? But
Yeah. I don't think any of us would be here.
Paul and Kev would be redundant. So, but we love you really, guys. But what I just find it really, really interesting. Like, I find it very similar, because for the if we have any new people, for those who don't know, I'm visually impaired. So I think it's quite different. I think women's football and disability sport have took a very similar pathway. I wouldn't say they're the same, but what I mean is, like, say 15, 20 years ago, if I said to you, oh yeah, you can go and play visually impaired cricket, or you can play in a women's team locally, I think you would struggle finding many options.
Yeah.
And that's not comparing the two. It's just using them as similarities. So I think we moan about the fix, like the kickoff times, but it being on TV, radio, and stuff like that. And like you say, Laura, most people have a daughter or a cousin or a niece or a sister that are into football now.
Yeah.
Like, so I just think I think if the people at the top, there's still quite a bit they probably can do, which we'll come on to in a bit. But I just think it's really important, and it's nice. It's good to compare. You learn from the past to see, like, hold on, so what flicked that switch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Arsenal are the main runners of it. Are we biased? Probably, but who cares? I've tried watching other teams. I get a bit bored. Like, I'm probably like they would never employ me as being a WSL broadcaster. Like, it's not. But I listen to the crowd like in other games that I've been to, and it's just such a drop off. I don't know if you guys have
Yeah.
noticed that.
Yeah, I obviously notice it being at the games a lot that our fans are obviously a league above their own, aren't they? Like they never stop, even when you're crowded out. Like at the Champions League final, it was clear to hear that Arsenal fans were crowded out by Barcelona fans, but
With
you
Chelsea
could
in
still
that.
hear the chants. You knew exactly where Arsenal fans were. So I think. Sorry,
Kira Walsh wasn't there though, was she?
No, she was too busy shopping in
It was in Sainsbury's.
overnight Packard. So yeah.
But yeah, no, I did notice that obviously being in Lisbon, where we won the Champions League, evening Gav, was when the Barcelona fans got there. Like I was like, do you know what? I like that because I like going to games where there's a bit of an atmosphere or. Like, not like in sometimes in the men's games it goes over the line, which we know, but in the women's game it's not very well. I say that, but I don't know. That Chelsea weren't the greatest, but like I think it's nice to have a team atmosphere. Like I'd love to go to a game in the WSL and you think, oh, they're a bit loud today. Like, and so you have to be louder to get your team over the line. Like that doesn't bother me, to be honest. Sophie, what's your kind of thoughts on that when it comes to other teams in the WSL? Do you feel like there's enough being done, or do you still think we're probably looking at it a bit biased because we're Arsenal?
I mean, obviously, I've not been to any games, but I definitely notice, like, with Arsenal, I do think we have probably the best crowd sort of attendances. Like, we do look at the attendances. I mean, I do think kind of, we're quite lucky because we have a good attendance. I think Chelsea's isn't too bad. It's difficult as well because I think if you're playing against the top teams, like if it's Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, or Chelsea, Man City, those sort of games, they probably will get more of an attention because I think it goes again. You look back to Lionesses, you look back which players play for which team, and I think people will go to support them. And I think it's a good conversation to have because I do kind of think more things need to be done because you look at maybe teams that are lower down in the league, whether that's like an Everton, Leicester, etc. And like I don't think they get the crowd that they probably deserve. It's tough, isn't it, really? Because I think we're quite fortunate to have a lot of support, and the team know that if we play at the Emirates, they're going to get a big crowd. And I think that's why it's good when we do sort of play like a lower team in the league at the Emirates, so they do get that feeling of the crowd there. So I don't know if you need to look at maybe the men's team, like whether that's the Leicester men's team or Everton men. Could they kind of post things about the women's team more? It's difficult, really, actually. But I think sort of the top teams that have had sort of the success, the Lionesses, you will look at those teams that have those sort of players. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. But I do feel for the other teams that don't always have that support. Because you do get different atmospheres at so many different games. Some of the atmospheres are a little bit more quieter, and you do see sort of empty spaces at times. And I think it's a bit of a shame at times. So I do think that more definitely needs to be done for those teams.
I think for me, sorry, George. I think for me, Arsenal always seem one step ahead of every other team.
Yeah.
Like to me, in advertising games, I know they haven't really been on the ball with it lately, but for me, Arsenal is towards our women are always one step ahead. Always one step ahead to get tickets out, and this will obviously go back to when Arsenal women obviously started moving to the Emirates. They were giving out free tickets. They were promoting it a lot. They were doing things that, to me, it doesn't seem, as you mentioned there, that Everton are doing. They're at Goodison Park. Go to the local
I
schools and
know.
give them tickets. If they don't want to go, they don't want to go. But you're still giving the school the chance to bring in those local kids, and that is a very big stadium to be sitting there with no fans in.
There's so much they can do. It's like
Yeah, I
with
agree.
with the local communities. Like you look at like areas like Liverpool, Manchester. They're not small, are they? So let's remember that as well. So, or even like community centres and stuff, or just do community outreach programs. Say, right, this is what we want to do. I'm sure that they do have girls in Manchester and Liverpool, don't they? Like it's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that there is still quite a bit more we can do, like that people can do. Just want to say, Gav has made the funniest comment of the night. Apparently, Chelsea are going to win the Women's Champions League this season. Okay.
Definitely not
Well,
winning it this season, Gav. Definitely
we'll
not.
see. We'll see, Gav. If we do beat you though, please don't go hiding again, because I'm going to create a couple of videos for you if we knock you out, mate.
That'd be amazing if we win.
No. Like if we knock Chelsea out, I heard Jason Cundy had like a Postecoglou mask. I might try and see if I can get a Sonia Tuna Pasta mask. So, to shout out. To dare is to do, mate. So don't worry. Yeah. So another question, Sophie. Obviously, we spoke about players in the past. Obviously, I know we spoke about Alex Scott earlier. I'm trying to think. Yeah. So, what was how much of the years ago did you watch of Alex Scott playing? Was you being a support? Was you a supporter then, or was it just after her time?
I'd probably, I mean, I watched a little bit of her when she was here, but I think it was probably more as a pundit, to be honest with you, because again, there wasn't a lot of, back then, I mean, it was hard to even find highlights of the game. Like, if, looking at it now, we've got so much coverage on YouTube, there's highlights, there's everything. So I watched a little bit, and that's why I did like her. I loved how much she loved Arsenal, but I think. I think we all can see how good she is as a pundit, and I think we all love her because for Arsenal and how good she was. So, probably say more of a pundit, but I think she was an amazing player, and yeah, she doesn't always get the credit she deserves as a player.
Yeah.
No.
Definitely.
She was good in the jungle as well, to be honest.
Yeah, she's good in there.
No, she's really nice. I've met Alex Scott, so
Aw.
she's really, really nice. Laura, do you have a question?
Yeah, I do. I have quite a few questions actually.
That's fine.
Which current Arsenal player do you think will become the next Arsenal legend?
Oh, that
That could
such a
be
good
that one for the men and obviously one for the women, because we know you're a
the
big fan
women.
of the men and of course the women.
Freedom Morning.
Not for me, unfortunately.
That's a really good question. I mean, I think Olivia Smith definitely has the potential. Do you know there's actually another player? It depends if she gets the chance, but I think Michelle Agyeman could, if she gets that chance. It's just because I think we look at our team at the moment, we do have a lot of older players and we have a few legends in there, and now we do want some younger players to kind of step in now. But I think Olivia Smith has really got that potential. Because I think we've got a few players that are club legends already that are a bit older, but I think with the women's team, I just think Olivia Smith's got quite a high ceiling and knows she wants to win a lot here. For the men's team, I think maybe like a Saka or Declan Rice. I mean, there's quite a few players there with the men's team, or maybe a Gabrielle. Yeah, there's so many you could pick from really for each each one. Really, it's a tough one.
I
If
think,
we
as you
win
mentioned,
the
a lot of
quadruple, I reckon we've gotten about 25 legends. So.
I think, as you mentioned, obviously there's a lot of older women Arsenal players, and of course one of them's got to be Kimmy Little, hasn't it?
Yeah.
She if she retires even this season or next season, I don't think you couldn't give her legendary status at Arsenal. Of course, the things that she's done.
I hope she gets a statue at Arsenal. Like, she deserves one.
10 more years.
Yeah.
Sorry, George.
No. Kim's not allowed to retire.
We said we were going to get her a high.
She's not allowed to retire.
We're going to froze her. We're going to get her a high.
Yeah, it's going to be like Austin Powers.
We need her forever.
Yeah. No, it's a good shout. Obviously, about the players being older. I don't normally throw the word around legend as much as other people do. But I'm quite strict when it comes to legends. So I think at the minute in our team we've probably only got 3 legends, and that's being really tough on it. I think we've got some cult heroes and some very good servants, but legend, not sure.
It's difficult, really, isn't it? Because it's like, just because you won the Champions League doesn't mean that everyone in the team is a legend. It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, Kim Little's definitely a legend. I mean, it's difficult. Beth Mead, McCabe. It's sort of an open discussion. I think a lot of people have, when I've been looking online, they've only said a few players. It's kind of hard because we've had a lot of these players for such a long time here.
Gav's fishing. He's saying that there ain't no legends at Arsenal apart from Gabriel. No, maybe not, mate. But if we have someone who's won the quadruple and captains England and Declan Rice, I think he's got a fair shout. Well, I'll let you have that, and I'll do my talking at the end of May, mate. But I might have to wait till June because we might be in the Champions League final by then. All these finals, Gav, just can't.
He's asking for a reaction, and you're giving him it, George.
Yeah,
that's what he's asking for.
He can have his reaction. It's fine. Right. So, if obviously we're talking about players now, if you had to, who's your favourite women's player now?
It's so difficult. It's so hard to decide. I think at the moment I do love Russo. I think I'll always will have a soft spot for Beth Mead. I think because she's just, I think she's still amazing. But I think if I look at players that really enjoy watching, I think Russo just always gives 100%. But it's so difficult because I do love them all. I think they're all amazing. But I think Russo's just been a great signing, and I just love watching her.
Yeah, and she didn't cost much, so
that was a good thing.
That's on a free.
I can't believe that actually happened.
As the poets say, she left on a free and won the Champions League. There you go.
And all thanks to Claire Wheatley.
Yeah, Claire Wheatley. Yeah. So. Obviously, we'll brief it while we're talking about the present players at the minute. We'll go into it. Obviously, there's a lot of talk, Sophie, there's going to be a huge rebuild, which is probably needed to happen. Obviously, we're both men and women fans. Does this moment with the women the team remind you of when Mikel first took over, or a little bit before Berta come in, when we had people like Reece Nelson, Zinchenko? Does it remind you of that at that time where we are with the women's team?
Yeah, I think that's quite a similar comparison, isn't it? Because when Arteta came in, he did have to kind of move on a lot of players. He had to be quite ruthless, and you look at the squad Arteta's built now to the one he had. It's just a massive difference, and I do think Rennie is in a similar position. I mean, I think it's difficult. We won a Champions League with that squad, and I did expect this season for us to go for a bit more of the league. So I think this season has sort of been like a reality check, because I think maybe Rene's realised some of these players just aren't capable of reaching that level that we need to get to. But yeah, I think we're definitely in that transitional period this summer. I think we're going to make quite a few changes. I think there's quite a few players here you probably would want to move on, and yeah, I think we're going to have. I think this summer's going to be very busy for us, and I'm excited to see actually who we do bring in. I think it'll be sad though that we will move on a few kind of maybe fan favorite players, but I think it might need to happen really if we do want to win more things at Arsenal.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things you have to be kind of ruthless, don't you? Like,
Yeah,
it's all right having the fan favourites, but if you're basically like, that squad was a bit like a sponge that Rene managed to squeeze as much out of it to get that Champions League win. But domestically, if we're being brutally honest, we've not been good enough probably for quite a while. And
George,
sometimes
we've been saying it for how many podcasts now, that if you look at the squad that we have, you go back to not even just Joe Montemuro, you go back to when Pedro was obviously there, Viv Miedema was there, Katie McCabe was there, and of course, like, obviously Leah Williamson was starting to just break into the team, and she was young at that time, but that's still names that, and obviously Kim Little, not that I'm saying that Kim Little is bad and that she should also be replaced, but that's still names in our squad that maybe should have been moved on a few years ago, and we could have got a little bit of money to invest in.
The issues I have with it, guys, as well, is that we've had moments in the last 5 years where they could have built on it. So we lost the title because we lost to Birmingham under Joe. So we were quite close, well, as close as we've ever been in more recent times. So why did they not build on that to go and make sure they didn't get they brought that WSL title home? And then obviously we won the Champions League and we didn't build on that. So I think that's more what I found frustrating as an Arsenal fan. You're there to win these trophies or be there or thereabouts, but you still need to build and develop on that. Do I think it's just as you guys know, I'm not one to beat around the bush. Do I think it's just a Katie McCabe problem? No, it isn't, because it isn't just her. Because on her day, she can be really, really good. Do I think it's a Frida Morning problem? No, but some of these players they've been very, very good servants.
Yeah.
And you just have to move on from them. Like, Katie McCabe could leave us and go and play in quite a few European clubs, and she might win the Champions League again. But if she does, she does. Like, fair play to her. But
I think for me, in terms of women's football, it still hasn't quite grasped on that football is a business at the end of the day, essentially. And if you're not selling players on, you're not making money. And this is unfortunately what younger generations have to obviously get over, the fact of, we've seen it many times over on social media about obviously Katie McCabe leaving. They're not happy. They want Arsenal to keep her. Of course, Beth Mead possibly going to London City Lionesses. Football at the end of the day is still a business. And unfortunately, these players will eventually move on for the business to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think with McCabe, I wasn't really surprised that we all heard that. I know there's been kind of a lot of people online wanting her to stay, but I think, as we said, she will go eventually at some point. You know, I don't know how old she is. She's like in the 30s now, but she will probably be going anyway soon. And with Beth Mead as well, I wouldn't be surprised if she left, because, you know, she is getting older, but she still, you know, is very good. But I do think we need to have a big summer window, and we have to move on some of these players. And as you said, under Jonas, we had the same sort of issues, didn't we? So I think we definitely need to rebuild in the summer.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Just going back to a question Gav asked, the season tickets were similar to the men. So obviously for the women, you get your home season ticket, which covers all the league games. But I think, and then there's like phases where you can have like with Champions League and cup competitions. Gav, just to answer your question. Laura, do you have any other questions?
I do. Sophie, what one player would you like to steal from another WSL team?
Oh, that's a really good question. I feel like we don't really. I mean, we've got a lot of attacking players, but I do love Bunny Shaw. I just love watching her. I don't know if she would sort of. I don't know how she. Or I got a sort of another option. I've always loved Kira Walsh, but I don't know if she would fit into our team. I don't really know, but obviously when she was at Barcelona, I was really hoping we would go in for her. I know there was a bit of interest there, but I was hoping we'd go for her. But yeah, I love watching Bunny Shaw. I think she's just a joy to watch. But I know we do have goal scorers in the team, but it wouldn't hurt to have another one to help us.
Yeah, I would agree there with Bunny Shaw, but unfortunately, I don't think she's another one that would ever come
No,
to us.
See, I don't want
though,
Bunny.
will you?
I don't want Bunny Shaw.
And that question for you, George, who would you like to steal from any other team in the WSL?
I was going to say Stanway, but she's not playing WSL at the minute, so she will be soon.
we might get her actually.
Yeah, I think we do, to be honest. I probably would say Lauren Hemp. Because
Good shout.
I think
Yeah.
with Bunny Shaw, I think she's a great striker. She's like Haaland. You put the ball in the right spot for her, she'll score 20 whatever goals. But when she has to come up against players, when she has to do a little bit more, they had to put a missing persons report in against Lotta, didn't they? Where was she? Like, oh, Bunny Shaw. She weren't there, was she? So, yeah, she is a great striker. I'm not saying that, but I think Russo actually does more as an all-rounded striker than Shaw. And I think Lauren Hemp, imagine having Hemp and Smith on the wings, like someone like that. But I also probably wouldn't mind Asagawa either, because I think she'd slot into that midfield quite all right. Gav has said about Chloe Kelly, would we keep her at the end of the season? It's interesting, Gav. I've been quite critical of Chloe Kelly in the last couple of shows. I'm not being too critical because she's been injured, but now she's back being fit. She needs to start changing some games up a bit more for me. I think they keep her I think they do keep her because if Beth does leave and Caitlin Ford would have thought is off, you can't be getting rid of 3 wingers unless you're going to bring 3 in. So I think Chloe Kelly's still a very good option, but she just needs to remember what she is good at, and that's taking on players, taking shots, and I just feel she's not really doing that at the minute. I don't know what Sophie and Laura you think.
Yeah, I think for me, Chloe Kelly has obviously lacked a little bit of confidence recently. You can see that in England games recently as well, that she's only getting on like the last 10, 15 minutes of the game for them as well. And maybe that's just something Serena had obviously picked up on as well. And unfortunately, Arsenal need to do better than what Man City did with her, and that's look after her mental health. I think people forget that a little bit about Chloe Kelly, that when she isn't performing well on the pitch, it kind of affects her off the pitch, and she's been very, very open about that. And I think Arsenal just need to a little bit look after that. And hopefully sooner rather than later, Chloe Kelly obviously becomes a player that we know that she can be. She's a big game player. She knows when to step up.
That's because she's done it. You know what I mean? She's done it. So we know that. It's just I think she's been sold a little bit down the river because Caitlin Ford is obviously not on my Christmas list this season, but and Beth being injured, so it's just Smith or Kelly, isn't it? It's hard when she's just coming back from an injury, Sophie, as well. It's hard, but if she had the support, then I think we see the best out of her, don't you?
Yeah, I think she'll be back to her best. I think, as we said, she has been in and out, really, hasn't she, with the injuries that she's had. I think we just need to build her minutes back up. I think she'll be back to her best. I think, like you said, if we're behind her and giving her the support, I think she'll be back to her best because we know how good she can be. So yeah, and obviously her mental health is quite important, and making sure she is getting the right amount of minutes for her is, going forward, the right thing. So yeah, I think she'll be back to her best soon. I think it's just about fitness levels and getting her that confidence back.
Yeah. And if she watches the show, that's all the motivation you need, because
Yeah.
whenever I criticise someone, they go and score the next game. It's happened 3 times this season. So
Maybe she'll score at the weekend.
yeah, maybe. Last
We often
season, I
say
was
stuff
like,
that we think.
yeah,
We often say that we think the players do watch the show, and
yeah, I think they do.
they actually go out the next game and go, "Do you know what? I'm going to prove you wrong."
I think it's on the PowerPoint presentation. Like, I reckon that's what it is. So,
Yeah.
I said Stina weren't all that last season, then she goes and scores the winner in the Champions League. So, what do I know? Cool. Have you got any more questions, Laura?
I don't have them all out. So
No, cool. So just obviously, thank you for coming on, Sophie. But we're going to talk about your channel briefly before we finish. Do you want to tell the guys watching what your channel is, what it's about? But please subscribe to Sophie's channel.
Oh, thank you so much. And yeah, it's been great to come on here as well, and it's gone very quick. But yeah, I chat about Arsenal, the men, the women's team on my channel, Gooner Gossip TV. I do sort of similar stuff to you guys, and I sort of try to do previews, reviews with both the men and women's team. I do a few watch alongs here and there. So yeah, I just chat about the men and women's team as much as I can, and just chat with other Arsenal fans like yourself and get other people's opinions about Arsenal. So yeah, that is pretty much what I do. Just a lot of Arsenal. I do try to do a little bit of England when they are playing, but because the schedule's been quite busy for the men's team as well, I do sort of focus a lot more really on Arsenal.
Yeah, cool. Just kind of question. Obviously, we've both done stuff like men's podcast based stuff and women's podcast. I find with the women's football podcast, it's really rewarding, isn't it, Sophie? Because when you look at the men's football podcast scene, it's not a dig at all, but it's very saturated. Like, a lot of people do it. A lot of people do it. But when it comes to the women's side, it's growing, isn't it? Like, you're getting a lot more people actually thinking, "Oh, do you know what? I'm going to listen to that football podcast." Or, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think that's obviously hand in hand with the growth of the game as well?
Yeah, I think, like you said, with the men's team, I mean, Arsenal, because we're quite a big club, a lot of YouTubers do spend time talk about the men's team. And like you said, it is quite a saturated place in a way. I think when you talk about the women's team, I think that more people kind of get interested and might find you. I think as well, because certain people, like maybe Arsenal YouTubers, might just focus on the men's team. I think there'll be fans out there that do want to find out about the women's team, because I do get some people in my chat that are just interested in the women's team and not the men's. I think there's like a chunk of fans that just care about the women's team, and there might be fans that just care about the men's team. But I think it's nice that it is growing, and you are seeing, like yourself, you do your content, you're seeing a lot of other people doing more watch alongs on the women's game, just kind of getting it out there. And I think it is amazing to see how much sort of content there are now with the women's team. But I think, like we said, not every Arsenal YouTuber, I think it's hard to find the time for some people to do on both, but because we love Arsenal, so we obviously make time to do content on the women's team. But yeah, I think it's nice to see how much the women's game is growing, and it's nice to see that a lot of people are still showing their support for the women's team, like doing reviews for the game, doing previews. I think that's really lovely to see.
Yeah, it is very time consuming, trying to do men content, women football content, having a 9-year-old at home as well. So that's not it's not
Yeah, it's
enough
hard.
hours in the day. So I respect and appreciate those who put loads and loads of shows out. So yeah, thank you for coming on, Sophie. Is there
Thank
anything
you
you
for
want to
having
say,
me.
Laura?
Yeah, obviously, just as well, it's amazing to have Soph on our channel, and hopefully there's more to come together. As you say, you become a large community when you're an Arsenal fan, and of course, being from Scotland, looking in and something like that, it's always special to always combine, especially when you're creating content for the women's game. I know when I was looking into obviously starting the vlogs and stuff, the one thing I noticed was there wasn't much content from match days or round
Yeah.
about that area, which is why I obviously took up the vlogging on the match days. And then of course you've got people like yourself going about making sure that the women's game is out there, and you know that is refreshing for young girls that maybe just turn the YouTube on one day, and of course there's people like yourselves that are up there that's keeping the information out there, making sure that women's football is on the rise and not coming slowly back down to earth and what it was years ago. So it's nice to see that, and yeah, I just appreciate people like yourselves that keep it going. So keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you. Cool. So we'll wrap it up there. I just want to say thank you to everyone in the chat. Obviously, really appreciate all your feedback and your help and the support with that. Even you, Gav, I'll be nice to you for once. So thank you, mate. So we will be back potentially on Friday for a preview show for the LCL game at the really stupid time of 11:55 a.m. on a Sunday in Kent. So yeah, whoever thought of them times. So obviously we'll be back from. Just keep posted as well, because we are looking to be doing more content as well going forward. Couple other stuff that just keep an eye on. Obviously, we're not going to say too much yet. But please hit those like and subscribe buttons on all the channels that you can see mentioned, because it just really, really helps us all working together as a community. And definitely smash the subscribe button on Soph's channel as well. Just want to say thank you, Sophie, again. You've been
Thank you.
absolutely brilliant. Laura, thank you as well. You're brilliant as well. When I forget my questions, you're here. So so yeah, I really appreciate that. And yeah, all that's left to say is have a lovely week and come on, you Gunners. Take care.